Are you ready for us to get into your pocket? Are you ready for us to touch you on your financial studios? Yeah, no, don't brush your weave on some yo, Kathy. Are you about to tell us that we're not spending our money in the right places? Thankfully, I don't have to do that, but I'm going to invite somebody who may just. She's going to help us navigate this financial journey. And how do we embrace abundance in its fullest form, right? We don't just want to be rich, we want to be wealthy, right? Multi-generationally, right? Can we please be more like a Dr. Precious I'm looking like that because she's going to say, Kathy, what are you doing to me right now? But the point is that we all know we could be doing a little bit better in terms of handling our finances. So what we're going to do, before we invite our Lebo to come on stage, I'm going to invite our wonderful soloist again to come on stage just to render an item. Miss Tlhabisa, please come on. And then when she's done, our Lebo will take over with her session on embracing abundance. Look, she's had a whole change of outfit. Let's give her a round of applause. Girl, you came prepared. Is she gone? Okay.
Mein Herr Marquis, Alman wie Sie, sollt besser Deutsch verstehen. Darum rate ich, ja genau sich, die Leute anzusehen. Die Hand ist doch war gar zu fein, ja, die Schwürchen so selig und klein. Die Sprache, die ich führe, die Teile, die Turneure. Dergleichen finden Sie bei einer Zoffenig. Dergleichen finden Sie bei einer Zoffenig. Gestehen müssen Sie für wahr, so komm ich dieser Worten wahr. Ja, sie komm ich, ist die Sache, drum verzeihen Sie, wenn ich lache. So komm ich, Herr Marquis, sind Sie. Mit dem Profil im griechischem Stil beschenkte mich Natur. Wenn ich dies Gesicht schon nirgends bricht, so sehen Sie die Figur. Schauen dir die Longette Sie dann sich diese Toilette nur an. Mir scheinet vor die Liebe macht ihre Augen träuber. Der schönen so wie Bild hat ganzen Herz erfüllt. Der schönen so wie Bild hat ganzen Herz erfüllt. Nun sehen Sie überall, so komm ich nicht für wahres Fall. Ja, so komm ich, ist die Sache, drum verzeihen Sie, wenn ich lache.
What absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Didn't understand a single word, but felt everything. Felt everything you said, girl. I was with you. On that note, let me invite onto stage Ms. Lebohang Monyatsi. She is the head of financial inclusion at Sanlam, and she is going to be talking to us about embracing abundance. Please give her a warm round of applause as she comes onto the stage.
Okay. Good afternoon. The way you respond, I guess those who responded in that way, it's an indication that there's a demon of poverty around here, and we will address it. But just want to say thank you to Dr. Precious Motsepe for this opportunity. We don't take it for granted. We're truly, truly grateful. What I will do, I just want to share 3 cases with you, and that it will then help me to wrap up what I want to talk about. A lady got to our offices, it's about 3 years ago, and she was wearing all black from the crown of her head right down there. And we know that usually when you see somebody like that, you would know that she's bereaved. And this is her story. She said that her husband passed away, and so she was busy packing away his clothes and came across a piece of paper. And on this, what brought her to the office, because there was a Sanlam logo on this paper. And when you look at it, we have what we call safekeeping and custody of the will. So we called head office, and then they confirmed that the will is with them, and they then emailed it to us. Just at a quick glance, we picked up there were other beneficiaries, and you would know that the rule is that you would read the will in the presence of all the beneficiaries. So we then said to her, look, we need to track down the other beneficiaries, and then we will convene a meeting and then read out the will. Within a space of 10 days, we had tracked down the other 2, and I remember on that day, she actually arrived. That's now the widow. And she's probably in her late 50s, maybe about 57. And then the other 2 beneficiaries came. A millennial lady, makeup on point, hair on point, very pretty. And the 3rd beneficiary that she carried along, it's a child about 2-3 years. And so we read out the will, and the deceased, the husband, is giving the house in Nashgrena where he stayed with the wife, gives it to the wife. And as we're reading the will, he's bequeathing a townhouse in Centurion to the child. So it turns out that this is his child. And gives about 250,000 to the girlfriend. And of course, this lady was totally, totally distraught. That's now the wife to the deceased. I wouldn't take a moral stance here, but just to say legally, there's nothing wrong the husband did. He was married out of community of property, ANC, without accrual, and therefore it means he's at liberty to do as he wants to. The next story, real story as well. It's a case that got to court. What has happened here, just quickly the facts of the case, a gentleman was a bachelor, was doing very well. And he was an engineer. He wasn't married. And so he took out a life policy and nominated his brother as beneficiary. And then about 3 years later, he got married, and him and his wife, they sat down, they did a joint will, very easy, said, when I die, I bequeath everything to my surviving spouse, and he said the same. 2 years later, sir, guess who died? Who died between this couple? The husband. You got it. The husband died. And this case is in court because the insurance company So he had taken out a policy and nominated, that's now the deceased, many years ago when he was still a bachelor, nominated his brother as beneficiary. So the insurance company wants to pay out to the brother. And her argument is now coming to court, sought an interdict to stop the millions going to the brother. And her argument was, yes, I'm aware there was a policy with a beneficiary nomination, but thereafter we got married and we made a will, and so the will overrides the beneficiary nomination. And the court said, no, you cannot have the assumption that a will is superior to a beneficiary nomination. And they said that a will is a contract on its own. Beneficiary nomination is a contract on its own. And the court then went on to say that if your husband wanted you to get the money, he should have gone back to the insurance company to change the beneficiary nomination. And because he did not do so, we as the court can only assume at all times your husband wanted his brother to get the money, and the court then ordered the insurance company to pay out the millions to the brother. I was invited by the South African Police Service Provincial Commissioner for the Northwest. He had a session like this for the members in uniform, for the women. And I was talking to people like that, and my colleague whom I invited was raising her hand, and she asked to share a story, and I said, okay. And this is her story. She is about 31, married, and her husband has got 3 children from 3 previous relationships. And so when they got married in community of property. And she said one of the moms from the previous relationship, when they had an issue with maintenance, ended up in court, and the mother of the child wanted 6,000, and the father, who's now my colleague's husband, said, but I can only afford 2,000. And this is what the magistrate said. The magistrate said, look, I'm going to adjourn this case. I've picked up that you married in community of property. I want you to come with your wife at the next court appearance. Tell your wife to bring her 3 months bank statements, as well as her 3 months salary slip. And my colleague told us that on that day, the magistrate took a decision, and this is what the magistrate said. The court judgment was that, look, we have satisfied ourselves that you can indeed only afford 2,000. But looking at your wife's financial status, we can see that she would be able to pay the balance. And from that day, she said, they actually even made an order with Sanlam to be deducting this money, and it escalates at about 7.5% annually. So ladies, the reason why I'm mentioning these cases, and the topic here is embracing abundance. In my many years, in the financial services industry, definitely what is clear, and even from the surveys, research that has been done, men actually come out to be more financially prudent than us women. There's a study that shows, and I call it, we call it to be blacklisted. It's actually, that's not the proper word, they call it adverse judgment. Out of the millions of people that have got adverse judgment on the credit bureau, women are in the majority. They also did a study that showed that, and it was done amongst married women. And they went, and it was in the townships, it was done rural areas stretched into the suburbs. But what came out of it was that 92% of married women have got what we call secret stashes. You have money that you've put somewhere that no one knows about it. Only you, me, myself, and I. However, what that research shows is that eventually when you access this money, you use it for everybody else except yourself. You use it because your son is getting married, your daughter's going to university, your husband's car broke down, and you are bailing him out. Everybody gets to get this money, other than yourself. And now, moving to embracing abundance, I think the myth that I want to break when we speak of abundance, it doesn't mean wealth. What it means is that in the area of finances, you take small actions and they accumulate and they then result into, good accomplishment. It's things that you discipline, that you take around the area of finances, and over time, you're able to say, wow, this is where I am. So abundance in the space of money really means about educating yourself, empowering yourself around how finances work. Typical example, in South Africa, we've got many marital regimes, in community of property, out of community of property, ANC, and then ANC with accrual, ANC without accrual. We've got lobola marriage, and this one is not marriage, but I'll just sneak it in, fat and sit. We have that as well. But, people don't understand that what does it mean when I'm married in community of property? Because once you have a knowledge of that, you will understand that the way that you are married would affect the kind of decisions that you can take. So if you're married in community of property, you can't just wake up and say, I'm going to buy a car. You've got to take Abuti along and also have him sign. If you want to buy a house, that's the same thing. And so even when it comes to, I think ANC without accrual is easy. What's yours is yours. My demons are my demons, your demons are your demons. But when you get to, I'll just quickly go into it. I'm just mindful of time. That's now your lobola marriage. I think we would all know by now that it is recognized by law, and it means that, the parties must be over the age of 18. Lobola should have been negotiated. And so, God forbid, if I am in love with a guy who's a security guy, and then he comes, rocks up, arrangements have been made, they're coming to pay lobola, and my parents asked for 60,000, and he only brought Pula Mulomo, the bottle of brandy, and got 2,000 because his intention is to settle the balance. The law says a marriage took place as long as negotiations took place on that day, then a marriage had occurred. Okay, and just remember, if you opt to go that way, it is potentially polygamous. Your husband can take number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 ad infinitum. On one condition, you have to give permission. If you're number 1, you must give permission for number 2 to come in. If you're number 2, then it would mean 1 and 2 must agree. If there's no consent, there is no marriage. Okay? Just remember that. I think the most important one, please don't forget this one. I know with many of us, things don't work out. They paid lobola for you, you go separate. Please just remember that if you have not appeared in a court of law to get a divorce, you are still married. And God forbid if anything had to happen to you, because he can then come, notwithstanding that he's staying with another woman, and come and claim half of your estate, because lobola marriage is automatically in community of property. Unless before they paid lobola for you, you went to see a lawyer and did an antenuptial contract. So coming back to embracing abundance, I really also want, and I'm happy there are so many young people here. It would help you, when it gets to that decision time here. Many of us in the front seat, ketile, so fella. But please, if you could just remember this, because it affects a lot of things. I'm divorced, I've got twins, And I've got policies, and if you've maybe nominated them as beneficiaries and they're under the age of 18, God forbid, if I pass on the father of the children, perhaps whom I've last seen when they were 6 months old, at least it's in the pampers again, and then gone by law. This is what the law of South Africa says. The biological parents of a child are the guardians of a child. Ne? The biological parents of a child are the guardians of a child. The only time you can strip somebody of his guardianship is if during his lifetime you had gone to court and you have asked that this man is not fit and proper to be the father. Then the court can then make an order. In the absence of that, ladies and gentlemen, he is the father. Whether he's last seen the children when they were 6 months and now they are 17 years, it doesn't matter. And I want you to know that you would also know, I'm sure many of you, you know when you're at Home Affairs and you apply for passport, if they are under the age of 18, they will not give you the passport until you come with the guardian, who is the biological father of the child. Please remember these things. And what we're saying in the space of embracing abundance, have open communication. One of the things, again, that you would pick up a lot is what we call financial infidelity. We also see, particularly it happens a lot when couples are going to go through a divorce, and then they try and, get rid of assets. The car get registered in his mother's name, the house get registered in, so all those things happen. But so in that area of embracing abundance, and that's where I say consistent steps, discipline, open communication, discuss with your partner, with your spouse, what are our plans in terms of the financial destiny for this family, and be in understanding. Because when there's open communication, at least it gives you a sense of security, and it also makes the relationship to be quite harmonious. And then that's also where you enter into the space of abundance, because you have that sense of financial security. One thing that is also plaguing, we had a session in Limpopo, in Venda particular, and the provincial SEPS commissioner also attended. I was horrified by the cases of women who have decided to resign, who've decided to sell their businesses because they met this lady met this gentleman who was able to persuade her, able to sway her to say, leave this thing, let's do another thing with the money. And the numbers are actually high within the police of people who, we had another lady actually who came to talk about it. She had lost 4.8 million because she retired and handed over the money. And, I've always said that I think there's a gift God has given us, the ability to love. I'm just amazed how really South African women can fall in love. So, but now you've worked for 28 years, your money is not there, and now you've got to depend on your children. And so, secondly, it would come against about proactive planning. A lot of the cases as well would be married people where you leave everything to the husband. Be proactive, be an active participant around financial decisions. Life has got a way that we can never predict in the way it turns out. And so, finally, perhaps that I thought I could also then share with you. And I actually don't like this case. It just gives me a nasty thing of a gentleman who got married, took care of the wife's child from a previous marriage. with the stepson, took the stepson to private school, and life happens, and things didn't work out, between them, and they ended up in court. But as for maintenance, the court then said that in cases where you take over responsibilities and raise a child as your own, you cannot run away from the responsibility to maintain. You have to maintain it, And so I kept on saying, the man mustn't read these cases, otherwise maintenance will stop, But it just, it's something really that I think, but that's, and it can be the other way around as well. And maybe because I'm talking of maintenance, Dr. Mutsipa, let's say you've got your son who's 19 at university. I've got my daughter, 19 at university. They meet, and then they have a relationship, and again, life happens, and then my daughter gets pregnant. The law says, remember now, both of them aren't working. They are students. The law says, in that case, the grandparents are liable for maintenance. Yes, so maintenance now can shift to the grandparents. I met this lady was a teacher. She is on pension, and she said, this is my last born, and this has happened. And the court actually made an order from her pension that she gets a month. She is now liable to pay maintenance. So my appeal to you in conclusion is, as I went back to say, let's educate ourselves. Let's read up on these issues around finances. What does it mean when we talk of retirement planning? What was that thing that came out with people being able to take two-pot? Hey, our offices look like SASA offices. That's because, and I really thought that government has also not done well in terms of people being educated, because it means every year, if you're allowed to make a withdrawal from your pension, by the time you go to pension, you're not going to have any money, but it is what it is, and that's why we say, please, for me today, my message is say, let's embrace abundance, and it comes with, let's empower ourselves, let's educate ourselves. And this thing around money requires discipline, consistency, and in the end, we're able to live with that financial security. Thank you very much.